Disney XD. Do any of y'all remember that? Or maybe you forgot because it's probably dead. Disney XD was my childhood. I watched many good shows such as Phineas and Ferb, Kick Buttowski, Ultimate Spider-Man, and Lab Rats. But there was one show that I liked a lot. A show that was so good, it was canceled after one season. That show would be Tron Uprising. When I watched the Blu-ray for Tron Legacy, I saw the teaser for the show and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And best of all, it was on Disney XD, so I was on board for it. When I watched it on Netflix a long time ago, I thought it was the best thing that I've seen in years. It felt like I was watching a movie, and there was a lot of lore to it, kind of like Clone Wars a little bit. I watched it all the way through when the first season ended. I wanted more, but there was only one season because it went down in terms of ratings. So recently I rewatched it on Disney Plus the other day, and it's still as good as I remember it. Let me be honest here, it's still a little bit iffy in tone, but I still enjoy it. In case you don't know, this serves as a prequel to Tron Legacy. So, for this video, I just want to make it as long as possible so I won't rush it. I want to treat it as more of a retrospective on the series. I'll try my best. So, let's get straight into the video. But first, if you guys like my stuff and want to see more of it, then be sure to leave a like and subscribe and turn on notifications. I do live stream sometimes, so if you want to see my live streams, you can go on to twitch.tv/PolariserTV in the link down below. And you can follow me on X/Twitter, which is @rpolarizer right now. Not only that, I just turned on memberships, and that includes video previews, BTS of any video or live stream, and these cool channel badges. Oh, and also, there's member shoutouts at the end of every single video. So if you want to join that, then click the join button next to the subscribe button. And with that said, let's get straight into the video. Okay, to understand what the show really is, let me give you guys a little bit of context. So this series follows our main protagonist, Beck, a young program from Argon City who is programmed to be a mechanic. After losing his friend, Bodhi, he takes matters into his own hands and pretends to be Tron, aka the Renegade. But later, he finds the real Tron and asks him to start a rebellion against Clue's forces. He will train Beck to become the next Tron. Again, this takes place between Tron 82 and Tron Legacy. You'll find out soon, there's lore about it and it's amazing. We all know that the Isos want to live freely and be in peace without being slaughtered. Cora explains this well when she reveals her symbol to Paige, and she's voiced by Olivia Wilde, but we'll get to that later. There are some subplots that are not important sometimes, and they don't add what's happening, but it's for all ages, so what did you expect? And these subplots are for Zed and Mara just to have filler to pad out the runtime, which I really don't mind that much, but I can see why it messes with the pacing a little bit. Okay, let me tell you this. The animation is probably the best I have ever seen. The lighting with the neon lights makes it even more appealing. I'm on the spectrum, so it makes sense why I would like it. The shots make this look even more cinematic. The characters are expressed very well, and the action is fluent with the animation. But we'll get to that later. The character designs aren't that bad. I can see why people think they would look a little bit weird. Some of their head shapes are a little bit uncanny and jarring to look at. Like, take Tesla's head for example. It almost looks like a tube or a Fairly Odd Parents character. It's sometimes like that with the concept art that was shown at San Diego Comic-Con 10 years ago, but it's okay, I can look past it. The action is very well animated. It's very smooth and sometimes fits well with the animation. And the slow motion is extremely smooth, bro. Maybe saying it's extremely well is a little bit too generous. I'll say that it's good half the time and it's smooth and half the time. That made no sense. No, I'll, no, I'm just gonna say that the action is very well done half the time. There we go. Like, I can see why it's a little bit like that. It's kind of like all this Transformers Michael Bay stuff where there's so much happening with the CGI. It just gives you a little bit of a headache. But other than that, watching this feels like I'm watching some kind of anime. I think this is animated with Toon Boom animation. I think. And it was 2D and 3D animated. And looking at this feels like pre-Spider-Verse era of animation. I think the art director for the show is literally the same art director for Spider-Verse. That's why it looks really good. And the lighting and texture reminds me of that vibe a little bit. It sucked it only got 2 nominations. Alright bros, welcome to the very long section of this video, hopefully, which is the characters section. The characters are pretty good, and they have pretty good backstories as well. At first, oh my gosh, that was a bad voice crack. At first, Beck didn't want to become the next Tron. He was only programmed to be a bike mechanic. But however, over time, he realizes that He realizes that over time, when being Tron, he can spread hope around the grid. He blew up that statue because his friend was killed by one of Tesla's henchmen. So Tron found him, and he needs his help to start the revolution. People say that Beck doesn't really have that much depth, and I'm starting to see why I would stop right there with Beck's character. He's not that much of a person to have that much depth with because he's bland, as people would say, and that's fair. So I'll just give it a pass. For Zed, he doesn't have that much depth. He's more of a lovesick, comic relief type of character. He likes Mara a lot, and he really wants to be more than friends with this girl, but keeps getting friend-zoned by her. Damn bro, I know how that feels.
I'm your best friend, Zed.
Right. Friends.
I can sort of relate to this guy. He's more like a teenage character, I'd say. He tries way too hard to fit in with the rest of the programs, and tries to impress Mara. There's this one episode when Zed meets a girl at a club and then he gets tricked into having that old bike stolen. I know what it's like to be used, man. That is sad. He also believes that the Renegade is just causing more problems than helping them. But Mara, on the other hand, believes that the Renegade is spreading hope around the grid. So there's this one episode that I really liked from this series. It's called Isolated. Beck and Paige get stranded on an island together and try to figure out a way off before it disintegrates. While that's happening, we get a few flashbacks of Paige before she became repurposed. She was programmed to be a medic, but she wanted to go beyond that programming with her music. And that sounds very good, but we'll get to that music later on. Then, she meets Cora, one of the ISOs. When Tesla comes to the medical center, he slaughters all of her friends and blames it on the ISOs. Looking at it felt really dark for a kid's show. I mean, it's not that violent, they're just programs, not actual people. But it does feel like I'm watching a horror show. I felt really bad for her, and I know there's still some good left in her programming, but I do see they have playful banter in this series. And it's like that in the next episode that I'm gonna mention. The episode Rendezvous is where Beck and Paige go on a date, and the two of them are just having some fun and vibing out until Pavel finds out and forces them into the games. Paige doesn't res him, but instead keeps her distance just so she wouldn't get hurt. Man, I like their dynamic here. It's more like a frenemies type of thing they have going on here. They do fight, but they don't kill each other. But there's like a lot of banter around it. And for the GOAT Tron himself, we get to see how he is alive still. In the Scars 2-parter, Tron was close to a program called Dyson, but he betrayed him, alongside Clue. Ever since he came back to the picture, he's been having flashbacks of what Dyson did to him. All the scars he created from his suit to almost his entire face, like half of his face. Tron went nuts and wants revenge, but Beck tries to stop him, but it's too late. Because of that, he lost sight of what a true friend really is. That's why he doesn't see Beck as a friend. He only sees him as an apprentice, and that's it. Hey guys, listen, I'm sorry I have to pause this real quick, but let me say something here. I've noticed this in Tron Uprising. There is some foreshadowing before Tron Legacy. In Scars Part 2, Tron is holding 2 discs. One is just his disc and the other disc is Dyson's. And that shows a lot of foreshadowing from Tron Legacy. This shows his darker side, and his darker side is becoming Rinsler. Kind of feels like Darth Vader a little bit. I think I'm saying this is because someone mentioned this in a clip from Tron Uprising, Scars Part 2, and I think that person is right. I can't show the person's name because I don't want to dox anyone. Yeah, I think that's it. Back to the video. Seeing this adds a lot of depth to his character, and it sorta explains why he's still alive. I'm kinda confused on that one too, but let's move on. For our main man, Abel, he's kind of like a father figure to the programs that work at the garage. Well, specifically for Beck, because when what is wrong with me? Because when he stops Tesla from de-resing him, he instantly knows that it's Beck, and he's known for a while. He also eventually meets Tron and they go on some kind of secret mission. He acts like a father to him by keeping him in the garage to work on other bikes, and gives him fatherly advice. How did Abel know that he was the renegade at first? Well, my guess is it was a lot of clues. It's still a little confusing to me, but I'm gonna move on. Pavel just reminds me of the Joker in the funniest ways possible. Dude, I love this guy. This guy is such a fake piece of shit and not very genuine when being nice to Paige. I'm kinda getting a brother and sister rivalry vibe from this. He was also voiced by Pee-wee. I'm not joking. Every time I see him laughing or hear his voice actor laughing his butt off or just trying to kill Beck, it sounds like his voice actor is having the time of his life playing him. And it sounds like he's having fun.
I love fireworks!
You know, everyone else is pretty good. There are some voice actors that I recognize, and they're really good as well. Color was there at the beginning of the series, but we'll get to him later. He's also voiced by the guy who played Commander Zavala in Destiny 2. And he's the guy from John Wick. Cyrus was voiced by Jesse Pinkman, and Olivia Wilde, as mentioned. She's a guest star. Yo, this was probably the best part of the show because I think they know how to do their characters justice and add depth to them. They establish everyone's dynamics, developments, and past experiences very well. That was probably one of the longest sections I have ever written in my life. Let's move on to the section that might be a bit shorter than this one. Dude, I love this music in this show. It sounds like Tron Legacy, but with a little twist to it. The composer for the soundtrack, Joseph Trapancy, arranged the score for Tron Legacy and made the soundtrack for Tron Uprising. That's why it sounds very familiar. And I really like it because of the EDM sounds it combines with all the orchestral sounds, which makes more of the scenes much more intense, especially the action scenes, man. I could play some of it, but I don't want to get copyright claimed. But yeah, this slaps. I wish it was made by Daft Punk, but it's not. But let's move on. Okay, as you guys may know, there is a massive cliffhanger that bookended the show. It probably won't be resolved for a reason that I'll explain later. I'm gonna try my best to be fast about this because I don't want to get too much footage of the show, and if I do, there will be some copyright issues. So, here we go. In the last 2 episodes of the series, Beck fights his imposter, Cyrus, because he was Tron's original apprentice until he was banished from the grid. After that, Cyrus dies, Abel dies, and he's blamed for the whole thing. After the fight with Cyrus, Tron sustains a lot of damage to the point where he can't heal from his scars. It's because of a virus that he's been infected with. To be cured, he has to be repurposed. So Cutler returns, but not in the way you think. He gets repurposed by Clue, and he only comes back just to be de-rezzed in the end. The big recognizer crashes, and everyone goes against Tesla, which means the Uprising has officially started. Then, Clue pulls up to Argon City.
Good.
That's where the show ends. So, why did it leave there? Why did it leave on a big-ass cliffhanger? Well, I'll tell y'all why. So the reason why it left that way is because it was canned by Disney in 2013. It didn't get enough ratings to pull in a second season, and the scheduling was just constantly changing. A person who commented on my tweet about this series said that it was because of the poor marketing it was getting, and probably could be it. And no one was interested in Tron at the time. Everybody else was interested into these big names like Marvel and Star Wars. And you know what sucks even more? 3 seasons of the show were in the works. Not only that, a feature-length movie was also in production. Like, that sucked. One of the storyboards in season 2 showed Dyson de-rezzing one of Tesla's arms off because he failed so many times getting the Renegade. And that was all happening while Clue was telling him about perfection. One of the writers, Bill Wolkoff, dropped some leaked scripts, and one of them had a cameo of Daft Punk. I wish I was making this up, but I'm not lying. There is a video about this from D-Rez Cycle. I'll put a link to it in the description, and go check him out. His stuff is good. It really sucks because this was such a great show, and it had a lot of potential, but Disney decided to shove it in the corner and never touched it since. If there had been more promotion and didn't have a confusing schedule, then it would have had more seasons and a movie. And what's even worse is that Disney is doing more Tron movies, but they're not even gonna touch the series one bit. Not even once. Like, come on. But let's get to the end here. I'm already tired from ranting about this, like, cancellation. So, what did I think of the show? I think it still holds up today. The animation slaps with the mixture of black and blue. The characters are good, for the most part. It has a really good concept for a prequel series, and it's one of the few Disney shows that's really good. I'm still mad that it got cancelled so early on in this series, but if Disney changes their minds when Tron Aerie does well at the box office, then we might be able to see a revival of the series. There's a petition about it, but I doubt that Disney will pay any attention to it. But this was still a great series regardless of its short-lived time on TV. Well, I think this has to be one of my longest and best videos yet. So if you guys like my retrospective on Tron Uprising and want to see more of these videos, then be sure to leave that like and punch that subscribe button and hit the bell to turn on all notifications for any video or live stream. I will see y'all guys in the next video. Stay vibin', y'all.